Hey everyone, this is the Digital Dentistry Decoded podcast. I'm Dr. Ahmad Al-Hassiny here from iDD, and we're super lucky to have the co-founder and I guess current director, CEO, whatever you want to call him, Amir Mansouri of SprintRay. Welcome, Amir. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Ahmad. Thank you for having me.
You, sir, have had a big year. I mean, I think arguably you had probably one of the biggest product launches, or let's say teasers in the industry. I just had an episode where I was speaking to Rooney Fisker from 3Shape, and even he's impressed by the Midas. So how's it all going, man?
Sitting all here. Yeah, we had a tremendous year, but the year is not over. We're in August. We got 4 more months to go to deliver the units. It's been a heck of a year for us. It was a product that we worked for the past 2.5 years, and we're very excited to finally put it in the hands of a lot of clinicians around the globe.
Awesome, man. And look,
It's
I'm sure so many people want to hear from you because there's a lot of interest, honestly, in 3D printing. I don't think there's been a product so far that's, stimulated so much interest in the topic, into this workflow. I like to call it the Nespresso of 3D printing. I don't know if you like that name, but
right
it's a
here.
really cool
Yeah,
concept.
we take that. Yes, we take that. It's just the whole innovation driven product development and the whole ease of use Nespresso. We're gonna open every one of them for you. They dig deeper. But yeah, it's been tremendously successful and very well received. And we're just excited. Another thing is really resonates with me is how the industry appreciates innovation.
Mm.
They get it, they understand it, they see different products, and they're embracing it and jumping on board. A lot of people who were objecting before, now just because of the form factor, the convenience, are now all on board to get us started with the whole 3D printing, or in this case, we call it 3D pressing. It's not printing anymore. We invented a new way.
So for those who might be living under a rock, because some people may have not heard about Midas, I don't know how you missed it because it's everywhere. I mean, anyone who's listening, SprintRay runs like the best events on the globe in dentistry, I think. I mean, their events and their marketing is second to none. But for those who may have missed it, please, Amir, just tell the listeners, what is this Midas? How did it come about? What problems are you solving, etc.?
Maybe I take one step back. In the 1984, Chuck Hall invented 3D printing in California. Chuck Hall is the founder and CEO of 3D Systems, visionary guy. I had a pleasure of seeing him when I was doing my PhD at University of Southern California. And the architecture that Chuck Hall suggested and patented, invented 40 years ago became the dominant architecture of 3D printing. Every single manufacturer you see in the market has been using Chuck Hall architecture. And as brilliant as that architecture was, or is still today, it comes with some limitations. One of them, we all know it. People say, oh, there's a steep learning curve in 3D printing. There's so many factors: platform, resin tank, resin, put it there, put the lid up. The lid was on, the lid was off, the resin wasn't fresh. You dealt with printing. You deal with a lot of different variabilities that can affect the output. Does it resonate? Did you have these issues? Oh, I forgot the platform. Oh, I didn't clean the tank.
Yeah, I mean, totally. Just for those who don't know what the Chuck Hall architecture is,
Right.
we're talking about basically a resin tray, resin, and a build platform that goes up and down. Is that correct?
Totally. There is a separate, there are multi-components that are not correlating to each other, but they're very separate than each other. There's a platform, there's a resin tank, there's resin, and these things essentially movements happening and light cues. That's how the Chuck Hall architecture is. And we came together pretty much 3 years ago, trying to address some of the challenges. Again, it's a great architecture. It's very versatile. You can have multiple resin tanks, multiple resins. You can switch from resins to platforms. It's brilliant. But there are a couple of things that have been essentially bothering us to improve. One was the ability to 3D print highly viscous materials. And this is something that Chuck Hall system is really anti-viscosity. The runnier the materials are, the better and the more consistent prints you get. It's easier, it's more reliable. But in dentistry, we all know that all of those composites, ceramics, paste, these are so super thick and viscous. The flowable composites, we want to be able to print those type of materials that are better properties, better aesthetics. But that really doesn't work on charcoal architecture. And the second thing is the multi-component architecture that made charcoal system very versatile, but it doesn't work in dental offices. It's very vulnerable and prone to errors, user errors, creates a lot of learning curve. And the analogy we give to a lot of people, I mean, you made the analogy of Nespresso, very similar. Charcoal architecture, there is a tray of coffee in here. You got to put your filter in. You got to grind the coffee. You got to make sure you boil the water to the right temperature. Stop pouring the coffee or have the system go through it. You got to filter it. After you're done, you got to clean it. If you miss a step, you're not going to get a coffee. Charcoal is great. Midas essentially improved those challenges in a very, it's right here actually, I have the capsule. In a single use, all in one system that combines resin tank, and platform in one module. That was number one innovation. And again, this has been around. I mean, other people try to come up with this capsule model, but it's half of the equation in Midas. The true innovation, the really what pushed and inspired a lot of new material players now come to the table and wanting to develop materials is the ability to 3D print highly viscous materials using our digital press technology that is using, again, geeking out with your audience. They're all dentists. Hopefully they pick it up. We're using Pascal principles, not Pascal Magnet, the god of biomimetic dentistry.
Another Pascal, another famous Pascal.
To be able to inject super thick materials into the build chamber, and that's the red plunger or piston, whatever you call it. The way we do it is we fill the capsule cartridge with materials, and this thing essentially presses the material down. You can see it here, doing it all the way. And it's layer by layer. I did it all at once, but it pushes the material to the second chamber, and this thing becomes a platform that the materials are built. This whole thing is able right from the get-go print materials that are 10 times more viscous. And that opened up the new doors of 3D material science for 3D printing. And I always say, dentists love material. It's all about materials, man. Printer doesn't matter.
We had this chat when I visited you, man. It's all about materials. I mean, the printers are kind of, I wouldn't say they're done and dusted, but there's a lot of printers out there that can print, right? You must have pretty much every dental material company trying to talk to you. Is that a fair assumption?
It was up until Midas. I put it that way. We've been trying to partner up with a lot of dental material company, and that's the reason that we decided to develop our own, because no one wanted to partner up with us in the 2016-17 timeframe when we started. And I mean, I'm not blaming them. This market is not huge compared to the traditional materials market for dentistry, from milling to manual, direct injecting, composite, those kind of things. It was not a big enough market at the early years that we reached out to a lot of dental companies. And believe it or not, many of them didn't believe that chairside 3D printing or 3D printing of functional materials become a thing, become something that doctors use it. And with it, what we had to do, we came up with our own chemistry team, material team from 2017-18. We started to develop the different types of materials and build the market. And that was one precursor that they kept seeing us and seeing us and seeing us. God knows how many of them bet against us. They're going to be out of the market this year. They're going to be running out of money next year. It just didn't happen. I think they all figured that SprintRay is not going anyway. That's one. And two, the ease of use of Midas when you go through a demo. I'm going to demo it here for your audience. It's just so cool that people that's it. They can the moment they get a demo, they can visualize that this can be used in dental practice without any issue. These two things got a lot of great companies to the table. Ivoclar's, absolutely. I think you know about that. And we're also being approached with others, but want to be focused on very few partners and go more concentrated development approach than partnering up with all the materials companies.
Yeah, fair enough. How is that? I have to ask, how's that Ivoclar collaboration going? I'm sure it's a lot of things are top secret, but Is there anything you can share? Is there some really exciting things on the horizon, or what's the story here?
You want to keep that to the end? I'm sure a lot of that asking a lot of questions. Let's keep that the last question so we know everyone watches this. So don't go anywhere. I'm going to answer that.
Okay, no one. He's going to answer that at the end, the best part.
I'm going to answer that at the end.
You have to watch the whole podcast. You can't skip.
Exactly. You got to put retention hooks here. But let me ask you this. Have you seen the Midas in action?
I saw it, in New Zealand. I'm not sure. Do you have is it actually, before we talk about the Midas in action, is it for sale at the moment, or is it still pre-orders?
It's pre-orders, but we're weeks away from shipping.
No way. Weeks. Congratulations.
Yeah, the machines are pretty much manufactured. We had a very good pre-order list that people went through, but now we're mass manufacturing the cartridges. The machines are ready to go. We're getting the cartridges ready. The capsules ready. We'll be shipping toward October time. I think September, mid-September, end of September. It was always a little bit of weeks here or there. I don't know when it hits New Zealand. I'm sorry, man. I
Maybe
keep telling you.
2027.
Come over. Maybe faster, because we made a pretty good progress in getting the materials approved in different parts of the world. New Zealand, Australia have access to our Onyx resin, ceramic crown resin, Niagara resin right now, which was pretty new.
I really like Onyx Tough, to be honest. It's a great resin. Just putting it up.
Yeah,
it's a fantastic resin.
But how about we go through a demo together?
Please. And while you're setting it up and doing the demo, just to answer your question, I saw it in your launch event, the Midas in action. And I think it's one of those moments, it's kind of like a mind-blown moment. You're like, oh, okay, this is the future. This is the right direction for chairside 3D printing, I believe. I mean, especially for a lot of doctors who, like you say, they're hesitant, or, a lot of people want plug-and-play solutions. And I think this whole capsule concept is quite genius, to be honest.
I think same thing. Majority of the industry are not like you and me, geeks and engineers, and go figuring it out. They really are scared of messing up the production that they have, the day-to-day of dentistry. It's just rightfully so. We take those to our hearts and we focus on those to develop solutions. And that has been the consistent feedback. And I'm going to print, it just says crown bridge. I think it's an onlay. Or probably it's a full crown. No, it looks like a full crown. You don't see it. Do you see it?
I don't see it, but you could describe it to me.
It's just so easy. These are single use. You just gotta start print. There's a barcode here to scan to make sure it's the right cartridge. And then you peel this off, place it here, and you hit start now. Crazy. The arm goes down. And maybe I can turn it a little bit so you can see the whole thing. It says 9 minutes, 45 seconds. Then the arm goes down little by little. Start pressing a layer, pushing the material to the second chamber. And layer by layer, there we go. Jamie is doing us a solid here. And this whole thing, you guys saw it. We printed in a Cybertruck, so motion doesn't...
I told you guys have the best marketing. I haven't seen any other dental company print in a Cybertruck.
Come. But little by little, this is not a whole handle. This is actually the press arm. In other way, the printer is the cartridge and the capsule is the printer now. The machine just provides the press and the light. And this arm is going down little by little, 100 micron by 100 micron, to be able to inject the material and lift the platform from the other side. That also brought other advantages like speed. It was not we really didn't expect it to be this fast, but when we did it, we're like, oh, that happened too. It's just extremely fast because we don't do those cycles. You've seen 3D printers. The platform goes up. You got to wait for like another 7 seconds, 6 seconds per layer. Some printers have wiper, just complicating a lot of other stuff. This doesn't have any of those. It doesn't care. It just inject new layers of material and prints.
And I have to ask you, so with 3D printing, I mean, the way I see it, and we've talked about this a lot, splints are kind of done. Mainstream, everyone prints splints, done. Models, done. And there's a few other indications in dentistry. Obviously, there's probably like 6 or 7 in total. Is this really focused on restorative 3D printing? Is this where the focus is? Inlays, onlays, crowns, permanents. Is that why Midas came about? You're trying to solve that issue?
The answer is yes. And those other applications, models, it's the best link between the 3D world and the essentially real world. And the easiest way, no one want to pour stone anymore. I mean, people say model is commodity. Who cares about models? But man, every doctor I go, they're holding models in their hands in the dental offices. And in the new model resin, hopefully you can put your hand on it. It's brilliant. What we have done, I could never think that we make a model resin and we say we're so proud of it. This model resin, it's just, you just want to keep printing models once you see it. So model is the best visualization as well as link between 3D world and 2D world. That's, again, it's proven, it's happening. Every dental office needs it. You don't use it every day, but when you need it, you have it. Splints, you say it, variety of splints, from surgical splints to night guards to different type of jaw positioning movement. Those are all granted. Again, we don't recommend to print 100% of the appliances in the office. It really, to me, it's like your kitchen at home. You don't cook every day, but twice a day, 3 times a day, whenever you feel like it, you cook. That's 3D printing. That's having the ability to 3D print in a night guard right now and close a patient to build a practice. Those kind of essentially enabling moments is what 3D printing come in handy. Those are taken for granted, but again, I think it's still we take it for granted. It's brilliant. Then we come to Midas. We built it to be able to do restorative better. I think we talked about that. It was really time for the whole experience to see a better restorative system, and the volume on restorative is higher, as you know. How many crowns do you do a day?
Minimum 1, 2, 3. If it's a rehab, 12, 14.
And I think we talked about inlay. You still think injecting composite there is easier?
So I'm not going to say, I mean, to me, the only thing about 3D printing is I know a lot of people show on Facebook and Instagram, but to me, like in full transparency, I think injecting composites easier than the whole workflow, like the design, which a lot of doctors struggle with. And I know you're trying to tackle that as well with your SprintRay Cloud, which we'll go into. There's also that you may have the printing down pat, but then it's the washing and the curing and the post-processing. And a lot of doctors will feel, I could have just squeezed in some composite in there in 5 minutes. Not to say that composite is better. We're not arguing indirect resins are much better. But the other interesting argument, I think, the more interesting one is not if flowable composites better, is that if milled composites are better than printed inlays and onlays. Because you can mill some pretty nice composites these days, like Anemic, Cerasmart. Obviously, the milling machine has a major downside in that it's very expensive compared to a printer. But, this is where the dynamic is getting really interesting.
Yeah, I agree with you. Again, this is like having a tool in your toolbox. Doesn't mean everything, you got to hammer everything with a hammer.
True.
You really have to use it when it makes sense. As you said, if it's a one easy filling, you can pack a composite there and good to go. You probably got to do it if you have MODs and you got to rubber down both sides and you got to be careful on all sides and adjust on here or there. Probably makes sense to print it easier, to print it rather than to go direct. If you have multiple one of them, again, it makes sense. I think doctors got to be smart which case to use direct versus indirect.
Agree.
And the reason we believe Midas is a huge just inlay onlay platform, crown aside. Again, I know crown has different limitations when it comes to convincing doctors. We get to that. But it's just the fact that you can go through these super fast and make the I was talking about the workflow. We made the AI design to just help with that workflow, make it click, 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 done, print. Probably inlay. Inlay is probably 5 minutes print. I would say 5 minutes design and 5 minutes finish, just because they're so tiny and small, and you can just wipe it to spray IPA. So hopefully you put your hands on it, you demonstrate it for the whole your community. But as people see Midas and how easy it is, I think you can see in their head, they're like, okay, I can see myself using this, not for every case, but for maybe one case in a day, two cases in a day, half of the cases. That will happen with Midas. And that's why we wanted to have Midas as a separate unit to be standalone, targeting so niche rather than trying to create a very broad, generic, one blanket fit all kind of application. I think the right analogy is it's a pretty good bet we place on this, and we'll see what happens.
I think it's genius, man. I genuinely think you guys did some really incredible things, not just with the concept, but also, like you say, separating it. I really think that's a really smart move. And I have to say, I know Midas gets all the love because that's a really interesting printer. We have to show some love to the other printer, the Pro 2.
Yes.
How's that going?
Yes.
How's the Pro 2 going? I like the modular design, man. I know you guys went to LCD or MSLA or whatever one of people want to call it, but how's it all going with that printer? Do you guys like the move from DLP to these sort of technologies?
Totally. As you said, the Midas is getting all the love, but Pro 2 is a beast. It's just everyone who uses it don't want to use Pro S anymore, Pro 55S, 95S anymore, just because how much the whole product is refined. This is pretty much a product we've been refining since 2017. 9 years of refinement got to this point. So the whole seamlessness of software, the whole optical panel, the 35 micron pixel size, what you get, the crispness of the print, it really resulted in a pretty amazing 3D printer. This is done. And again, I'm telling you, Midas gets all the love and lights. So you see the arm is going up now. And we got a part.
Just like that.
Just like that. Get it out. You saw the training was all about getting this thing going. Here's one caveat. I messed with the cartridge. So if this, like Elon Musk throwing a rock,
if it doesn't do it,
has happened.
We'll delete. We'll edit it.
We're not supposed to press it before print, but you never know. I'm gonna take my shot. So the next is to press it all the way down and get this plunger out of it. And there we go.
Just like that. Printed.
Like that. Printed. And you got a crown. This is a giant crown. It's probably another 10, 15 minutes on the Cerac system for one. You can do up to 3. There we go.
How long did that take to print?
It was 9 minutes.
9 minutes.
But you can do up to 3. The rest of it, again, people tell us why you're not making a wash, but this is super easy from here. You just got to wipe this. It's usually better with some shop towel, but the rest is really separating it from the platform. Put this and send it back to us for recycling. Then you separate your supports.
So you wipe it, you spray it. For those who are not familiar,
you wipe 95%
of the resin that's dripping off.
The resin, and if you use a good shop towel, paper towel, or a micro brush, it works. See this one? Pretty much got to good. I don't know if you can get it yet. Come on, Jamie.
The man is touching it with his bare fingers.
Yeah, man. You gotta eat your own dog food. So that's how it is. You see, you don't even need washing. At this point, it takes 10 more seconds of spray IPA and put it in Nanicure. That's it. This is like 90% clean. Yeah, because these resins are super thick and viscous, can be also easily wiped away. It's not so runny. So it makes it much easier to... the paper towel absorbs everything.
That's cool, man.
That's it.
That's cool.
So this is faster than making a coffee or having a chat. You can make a tooth. How cool is that?
It is cool. Genuinely.
And this was a 9-minute crown. This is a 9-minute crown, but I'm telling you, the inlay onlay is ranging 3.5 minutes. When you're ranging at 3.5, 4 minutes, then it just opens up new possibilities. And when doctors use it, see it, okay, I don't need it to train anyone. I don't need to really go through a complicated process, and I get a pretty nice crown done. So it's just seeing more adoption.
What's your take on the designing? Because not everyone is a Wally Renee of the world or a master designer, or they know Exocad. In fact, most dentists are very not good at designing and they don't want to learn designing. Most dentists still scan and send to the lab. What's your
Yeah.
solution there? Because I still think this is the biggest bottleneck. I mean, we can say, oh, we're going to educate and teach and get dentists to design, but I don't see, in the future, every dentist designing. I just don't see it happening. I mean, I'm happy to be wrong. Do you think the play is AI designs?
I'm with you. In 2017, we decided to become a dental focused company. And pretty much 2018, we put together our material team. In 2020, right before COVID, we also realized the same fact that no doctor want to spend time designing and buying a piece of software and going through it and learning. And all due respect to all of our friends and partners in CAD companies, they're still CAD and very complicated. You still got to go through it. They're very, very powerful software, but I can't see a dental assistant going through a learning curve of learning dental CAD. So in 2020, we put together design as a service. We offered it as a service that we will design it for you and load it up into your printer because everything is integrated in 24
That's cool.
hours. 2021, we saw the direction becoming artificial intelligence automation. This is before AI was cool. We were doing automation and AI and our night guard design. And this year with Midas, we were pretty determined that we need a solution for that. So we built what we call AI Studio. And at this point, it's done for crown inlay onlay. It just automatically, the software automatically detects your margin. After that, you can just fine tune it, easy to go. And then we generate a crown or inlay onlay for you, getting all the conditions of surroundings, the anatomy, the age, the library you like into consideration. I just want to be adamant. We did not build a CAD. We didn't build a CAD. We don't believe in CAD. We love CAD for technicians, but for dental offices, we don't believe in CAD. We just build a automatic crown inlay on an onlay generation engine, and that's give you a tooth. You met Mark, one of our product managers. He said, "We don't build a crown, we build tooth." It's a difference. The crowns that come out of these CAD software are perfect, are amazing, but it's not a real tooth. A real tooth is worn out. Real tooth has other defects there. That's what we're building. It's going to be a big game changer in the efficiency development and evolution of efficiency in dental offices for doing things chairside. And we take it to beyond restorations. We're going to add our night guard design to that. We already had a night guard. We're now migrating it to the studio, and we take it from there.
Yeah, man, it's incredible to watch the evolution. I mean, you started as like a 3D printing company, and now it's like a digital solution provider, not a 3D printing company. Just, you guys are dipping your toes into design or whatever you want to call it, CAD or tooth making, but you're completing the full circle. It sounds like trying to offer the easiest, solution to be able to print a restoration.
That's how it should be in the dental offices, and that's what our customers deserve. And the moment we see they can't do something, we're engineers, it bothers us, we love product development, and we act on it. And we can only do it because we're the only company who is focused in this niche of chairside dental 3D printing. I mean, if we had 50 other businesses, jewelry, engineering, like the generic 3D printing company you see in the market, it's just hard to focus attention. 100% of our R&D is dedicated in dentistry. 100% of our training education is dedicated in this for dentistry, and not just dentistry alone, chairside dentistry. And that really give us agility and ability to do things that no other companies are able to do. And that's why our products are one of the best in the market.
Yeah, man, it's impressive. So what do you see? I mean, I got two questions for you. Rather than being a SprintRay pitch, I want to get into the mind of Amir. What do you see in the market right now that's exciting, do you think? Apart from obviously the Midas, and I'm sure you have so much on your mind with the technology you guys are doing and the materials that are coming. But do you see anything in the market that is interesting or special or, excites you?
I absolutely. I think the whole automation and helping with efficiencies of doctors' offices, we're going to see a lot of new companies and startup coming out. I think the first wave, I don't think to be clinical. We're going to see a lot of AI scheduling, AI diagnostics, AI even preclinical. things that helps patients, helps doctors to do marketing better, patient retention better, helping with phone call, helping with the emails. We had ingredients, but now because of the whole past 2 years of accelerated pace of language models and the art of possible is shown to a lot of innovators and entrepreneurs, we're going to be seeing a lot of cool stuff happening. I get to see a couple of new interesting projects and exciting to see how much efficiencies will be improved. And I think the next wave will be automation in clinical work. I know doctors want to say that some of the clinical work will be automated, but I think that will happen. Whether it is 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, we're going to be seeing automated hygiene. We're going to be seeing automated crown prep. It's not a robot doing it full fledged, but we're going to be seeing tools that can read and they can get at the real time imaging and make decisions just like a doctor, just helping the doctors to do their job better, faster, and go through more patients. Again, these are efficiency tools. That's where I'm taking a lot of interest, and as well as seeing a lot of movements happening in the market. Then I think it's going to happen. It was another company I saw, perspective. I don't know, I forgot the name. That there was they put a giant handpiece to a giant robotic arm. Again, due respect to all the founders and innovators, I think that's direction will stay a niche. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I saw it. The robot that did the first procedure.
Yeah, it just does the crown prep. I think that's what it does.
I think they said in 15 seconds they did a crown prep.
It's possible. Again, it's everything is calculated. So that's the direction. But again, having a robotic arm, dentistry, half of the clinical dentistry is personal. It's that connections and trust between the clinician. I think that will take a longer time to develop. At least the form factors should become a bit more friendlier than what it is. And but it's a direction of going, and doctors should embrace them. Should not be scared by them. Should be excited actually that there's a machine that does half of my job and I still get paid the same. That's brilliant.
Mind you, that machine is like $500,000. These machines are not cheap, man.
That's what I'm thinking that will change in the future, rather than part of it is because those robotic arms are huge, and that's how they do it. But no, I agree with you. That direction is something that it will happen. It will happen. It's a matter of time.
And what about you guys are doing like a road show showing the Midas and everything? And
Yeah.
and I love that.
Yeah, let's bring it back to Ivoclar. I think that was the last question.
Wait, before Ivoclar, what about iTero? I see you guys, scan, design. I have to ask you, man, is that kind of like, how did that come about? Why the iTero? There's a lot of scanner companies out there. What are your thoughts?
I mean, listen, we are partners with all the scanner companies at this point, and we really get along with all of them. We believe we help intraoral scanning to be more relevant and more faster ROI, that help them sell units and get the doctors get the most out of their iOS once they adopt it. Some of our sales team are pretty crafty. They say printing is the ATM you got to plug into the iOS. Without the printing, you don't have an ATM. That's true, because it really justifies the ROI much faster. And we're partnered with all iOS companies. That being said, I think Ivoclar as iTero was the only one we were not partners. We were not doing anything, and that just happened. Just like a partnership with Dexis, Meta, 3Shape, and this is another one. About 35% of our community are iTero. So the whole community needed a more integrated solution. And it was just a move to make the experience of the users better and commercially create a stronger solution. And that's what happened.
I think it's super cool, man. Especially, look, everyone likes to bang on iTero. Everyone likes to bang on Align. I have to say, I mean, I was just testing their new design suite, and I can confirm that SprintRay is on that design suite. Anyone who doesn't know, you can't call it Exocad on the cloud because they don't want you to call it that. They want you to call it the iTero design suite powered by Exocad. But iTero essentially put Exocad on the cloud in a very basic fashion, crown, splints. I mean, to me, it fits perfectly with what the average doctor will be printing with a SprintRay. So I think that was really cool. And you can see more companies moving to the cloud and pushing. I think that's going to be the next big trend in this industry. All this cloud computing, all this design on the cloud, scan on the cloud, everything on the cloud.
Yeah, 100%. No, iTero is that's the design suite, right?
Yeah.
We were very excited when we saw it too, taking the power of Exocad, putting it on the cloud. It was something that, again, the community needed that. They wanted that cloud-based
100%.
powerhouse of design. And we were very excited. And as you said, the new scanner they brought is also pretty innovative.
It's a big upgrade to
I,
the previous ones, that's for sure.
my orthodontist just got my lingual braces off, and then they immediately scanned me with Lumina. The first scan wasn't Lumina; it was the first generation of the previous generation. I just got scanned me with Lumina. It was pretty quick,
Big
very
difference,
fast.
man. Big difference. I mean, it's something that the company was dying for to release
Right.
a competitive scanner.
Yeah.
Anyway, enough about scanners. This is not about iTero. No more iTero. This is the SprintRay podcast. So
Ivoclar too. You wanted to know that?
the question that everyone's wondering.
Listen,
So Midas coming
that
out. What's next?
what you just said is another testimony that printing is a full solution, and many companies should come together and make these solutions more integrated. Another example, maybe we answer the Ivoclar question. Ivoclar team, they've been 100 years of material science experience innovations. I think no doubt they are the leaders in that category. And we wanted them to develop materials for Midas, and I think that was something that it also the whole ingenuity, ease of use of Midas resonated them with a lot. They also had a lot of chemistry that couldn't be printed with traditional 3D printing, and those chemistry can be printed easily with this. So the whole partnership is around development of long-term, definitive, and also temporary and definitive removable and fixed prosthetics. That's all I can keep it that level. This is a long-term partnership. In a few years, we're going to see the result of it coming around. But immediate things we're doing, and Midas Tour was one of them, is to educate doctors and the dentists more around the 3D printing workflow after this crown is done. Again, this is a full workflow. When I printed my crown, I'm not done. You know, Ahmed, after you cure it, you have to polish it, then we come to bonding. What's the right bonding protocol? But probably the most important piece of it is how you treat it inside patient mouth and how long it lasts. And if you don't bond it well, what happens?
Falls out. That's what happens.
There we go. So we're partnering around post-processing today, and they're offering their solutions to testing. They've done extensive amount of testing and fine-tuned what's the right protocol for ceramic crown using Ivoclar products. And the first Midas store, that was their contribution. How to bond it, treat it, cement it to get the most out of the system, and how to glaze, characterize, polish it to get the right aesthetic out of it. That's what we're partnering up around market education and post processing. And as new innovation come out of the Ivoclar innovation engine, we're going to put it on Midas.
We have to keep our eyes peeled. Then you didn't give me much, but that's okay. That's okay. I'll ask you next year.
Yes, maybe let's have more podcasts. I can update you.
I feel like one interesting thing that I found is that I feel like the language has changed a bit with 3D printing because, last year, even 12 months ago, 6 months, let's say, sorry, it was all about definitive crowns, permanent crowns. And now, even in the forums, in the groups, I mean, we saw a couple of crowns that came back that are worn down, that's not working, not SprintRay resins, apparently, different resins. I feel like the language has changed now, but we're talking more about inlays, onlays, replacing your larger fillings rather than your crowns. Do you think it's because that is the better approach for 3D printing restorations and crowns will come once we get these stronger resins? Or do you feel like the language has changed? I feel like there's certainly a shift that's happened.
No, I agree with you. I think there is in our view, the material is there, but it doesn't mean people got to jump on and doing it. And it's not for everyone. We're having customers who have had tremendous amount of success on full coverage crowns, thousands and thousands. We have now at this point 2.5 year in the mouth data and 3, 5, 10 years of simulation data that these crowns perform. But no one knows what happens in 10 years. That's the biggest, or 5 years. That's the biggest holdback. That, and also the fact that resins, especially in the US, have been a little bit looked down on in the dental school with a lot of people graduating from university. Really, you don't like composite. You don't want resin. So everyone shifted the strategy a little bit that works for inlay onlays, already stronger than your composite. There is really no reason to pick up the battle of crown and convince it's better than Emax and zirconia, because it's not. You can't claim it's better than glass. It's just the hard numbers not there. The fact that it performs is a different story, that the numbers are similar. So I think that's more kind of follow the path of least resistance approach, that I see no objection on inlay onlay. It's a matter of, can I afford it? Is it fast enough? They see Midas, they're convinced. Full coverage crowns takes more convincing, and we're gonna see that in the next few years. We're gonna see more and more of those happening, but not to the speed we want it to be. I guess, put it that way.
Well, guys, you heard it from the man himself, the CEO, co-founder of SprintRay, Amir. I just really wanted to give you my heartfelt thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for talking with us. I know you're a busy man and you've got so much on your plate, launching and releasing the Midas. And I think you're one of the most famous people in digital dentistry right now with this release. Big congratulations, not just to you, to your team. We are all super excited. We're all cheering for you and the company, no doubt, because as a dentist, I just love innovation and seeing companies push the industry forward. So a big thank you again, my friend. And we'll have to chat again once you can tell us more about these new resins. But
absolutely. No, I appreciate it. Again, for us, it's a couple of hundred people at SprintRay really coming to work every day to make better products for our industry. And just wanted to extend the same thank to you. Grateful for what you do for the industry. It's not easy. You're running a very successful dental business. And on the other hand, you're really dedicating a lot of time to educating the market, making sure that the lot of snake oil, as you know, and you're cutting through a lot of BS to make the purchasing more easier for doctors. We really respect and appreciate what you do for industry, and your audience are getting a ton of value, and keep doing it, my friend.
Thank you, mate. And that is everything, guys. Thank you for listening for another episode of Digital Dentistry Decoded. Please follow, subscribe on wherever you get your podcasts, and check out Institute of Digital Dentistry for a bunch of free resources, courses, and a lot of downloadables and workflows and everything you want about digital dentistry.